Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the Isla Paradiso bunch. We're still in Egypt, and the people or the Sims who are in the game in Egypt haven't changed. Hayley, Josephine, Judy, Jeannie, Sam and the others. Now, if you remember in episode 41, we closed with Jeannie sitting reading a book.
Lord.
And I thought she was outside somebody's house, but actually she was just outside the market. She put a book down, and I'm just following to see what she did. This is all her autonomous self doing this. She went up some steps and found herself a chair to relax in. Have a little snooze. She did end up back at the base camp after a while, so she must have woken up from here. What I did was I wanted to show... Oh, she went for a swim as well as all the others seem to want to do. That's in the middle of the market. That's their swimming hole. I've seen as many as 6 Sims in that at one time. Yeah, I just wanted to show you the Sam doing the Copper Quarry adventure, and I didn't like the way I had it recorded before, because the Copper Quarry is the type of a tomb that you can set up for a Sim to work through and then go off and do something else, which is exactly what I did do with Muriel when she was doing the trapped basement, which was in episode 42. I left Sam at the Copper Quarry just autonomously working, because it's mainly all rubble piles, and he will destroy all the rubble piles you've got queued up for him, and then just stay there and wait until you're ready to go back. So that is the way I normally work the Copper Quarry tomb. But because I was doing a video, I decided I'd record it again. And this is the first one I'm showing you that was recorded on my new computer. And because it was night time, I decided I'd show you a little bit around Egypt at night. When I was working through the Isla Paradiso bunch videos in playing the games, every time I saved with a different name. And I've kept all of those saves. So if I ever need to replay something for the video, I can look at the time and date that the video was made, and then go back and look to see when the saves were made, and I can fairly easily pick up from where that particular video that I want to have a better look at was actually played at. I don't do that very often because it wastes me a lot of time. Like, this has taken me all day just to re-record this particular video and prepare it to show you. It came out at about almost 2 hours all up, and I've cut it right back to 30 minutes, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. See, the 3 pyramids there, but there's a smaller one, the Pyramid of the Wind, is behind the big one. There's the Sphinx. So this is just to give you a bit of a quick look around Egypt at night. And when it's morning, we will take Sam over to the Copper Quarry, and I'll just leave the rest of the Sims milling around at the base camp, because I'm not saving this particular game. It's just for me to record it. They've already gone past all of this months ago. It was back in May when I recorded this particular bit of action originally, and it's November now, so it's long gone, and anything that they do different here doesn't matter. I'm not saving it. This is just to show you the Copper Quarry, because when I looked at it, I found I had very little video of it, because I was mainly worried about what Muriel was doing in the trapped basement, which is how I generally play the Copper Quarry. It's just a side thing. It's not part of an adventure. Now the reasons I like to do the Copper Quarry, there's a few of them. One is you can do it on the side with a second sim while you're using another sim to do other adventures. You don't have to actually monitor it too carefully. Secondly, it's mainly all just rubble piles. And when you get in there, you'll see that I have cut out most. That's Muriel doing her usual idle action there, drawing. She's got hundreds of sketches. She just sits down and sketches when she's got nothing to do. But yeah, the Copper Quarry is good to have because you find lots of copper in it, but you've got to get through the rubble piles first because they're buried underneath the rubble piles. The other thing is, when you come back to Egypt next time, all of those rubble piles where there was treasure, you'll usually find most of them have got more treasure has spawned. The next reason I do it is because it's really interesting at the end when you need to find the piece of the tomb collection. And if you're completing the tomb collection, you have to do the Copper Quarry. And you will see where that last piece of the tomb collection is hiding if you watch this video all the way to the end. That's the only part where Sam has to call in assistance, and he calls in Muriel, because I think she is the only sim that I've got in this group who is currently capable of actually getting that final, opening up that final treasure chest that's got the sigil of the Copper Quarry in it. So this is Sam's preparing himself some breakfast. He's about to leave, but he's having some, I think it's peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He's doing a group serving, and he'll eat something, and he'll leave them there for the others to eat the rest. So they don't have a stove, so they're really restricted with what they can eat. So we really want them to get their visa points up. This is the first video I've recorded with the sound from the game sounds normal. So I'm going to experiment and see if I can keep some of the game sound in it. So I'm doing the narration over the top, and I'll probably have to remove most of the game sound so you can actually hear the narration. But I will try to leave bits and pieces of the sound that's from the game itself here and there. None of the sound recorded on my laptop is usable. It's just squeaks. It's terrible stuff. So Sam's now finished. I've cut bits out, like when we go through this is at the Copper Quarry now. It's the view of the Sphinx from the Copper Quarry. That's the entrance to the tomb, the steps that go down underground, and Sam's about to go down there. There's usually bits of copper and places to excavate around on the island, and you can get to the island by bridges. And Sam's just gone down. So this is the first level of the Copper Quarry. You can see there's more than 8 rubble piles, so if you were doing another adventure you could just send a sim down here and select all of the rubble piles one after the other until you've got 8 selected, and then go off and do another adventure with another sim. Then just check back on this sim every so often. They don't go anywhere, they just stand there and wait for you. And I think you can even put a tent up in here in a couple of places if you have to. I know it looks like there's a lot of time being spent on me going through these rubble piles, but I can assure you I have cut more than half of the time out, probably about 3/4 of his dig time. Most of these rubble piles have got one thing underneath, but a couple of them have got more than one item. Like you can see the gem that's under that one already. That's that yellow. It's probably a piece of cut yellow sapphire, I think. And that you can see behind there's a locked door with a key stone that has to be put in there. Well, that keystone you will find if you look in the right place. It's in the Copper Quarry tomb itself. So you don't go to get an adventure off the board to do this tomb. You can do it at any time. And this time I've done it at a fairly early in the game. This is their first visit to Egypt. They've been to China, and they've spent a lot of time in China, and they've spent a lot of time in France. And now they've come to Egypt. Now the reason that copper's good is because sometimes you need a lot of copper to complete adventures. For example, I have had to find 24 bars of copper for an adventure in China on more than one occasion. So if I haven't been able to find it in China, and I've never been able to find bars of copper in China, I think with mods you get some copper ore, unsmelted copper, but getting the copper bars is virtually impossible anywhere but in Egypt. I'm not saying you'll never find them in other places, but it's very difficult and very rare. So having the Copper Quarry here, where you get lots of copper, is great. It means that you can always come back here every time you send your Sims to Egypt. You can send them into this tomb and they can gather copper, because some of it will respawn. I mean, things spawn, you don't always get copper spawning, but this is the place to get it. And once you've demolished all these rubble piles, they stay demolished. So all you have to do from then on, see that rubble pile had 2 things under it, and it always does have 2 things under it. Yeah, once you've cleared all these rubble piles, they don't come back. So do it early in your trips to Egypt, and see that you can then come back whenever you like. And here I am now, just choosing all of the rubble piles so he can complete them without me having to watch him. And this is how I complete this tomb. You just have to, when they've done it all, you've just got to take some time going through everything to make sure you've picked up all of the gems and copper and geodes and things that they have. When they are I've just skipped a pile of rubble piles, and they've come to the rubble piles at the back of that level of the tomb. But because I've got them all done in order, he's just going from rubble pile to rubble pile. Then I've got to go back and collect everything. And I didn't do a very good job of collecting everything this time, because as I said, I'm not saving this version of the game. I'm going to just close without saving. So if I've missed anything, it doesn't really matter. He's nearly finished this lot of rubble piles on this level. I think he might have 2 more to go. And they do take longer than what you're seeing, because I did cut lots out of him doing this. But they do get faster as they get more experience on the rubble piles. They get faster at demolishing them. He seems to say, oh, hard, or hurts, but it doesn't quite. It's a Simlish thing, but that's what it sounds like to me. Now I've got him going around collecting things. Now he can search on that hole in the wall, where he will then unlock that door, and he will find another part of the tomb. Obviously, the steps behind there. We're about halfway through the video now. I like the way he brushes them off. Some of them freak out, scream and jump around. Some of them faint. Sam just goes, and brushes them off. But he got the door unlocked, now he can go in there. So he's got a few more rubble piles and a treasure chest that he can open up and clear the rubble piles. It's really hard to get a good picture in these small rooms. Just got some ancient coins out of that one. It's revealed a door, which will take him to another bit of the tomb when he eventually gets to go through it. Get him to do these other rubble piles first. I like to complete as I go, because once you've got these all cleared, you don't need to clear them again. They don't come back, but the treasure does come back. Each time you visit Egypt, there should be more treasure in most of these spots. I think he's got a geode there. Shower in a can came out. He must have been feeling grubby. You need to give them lots of shower in a can. Sometimes if they get stuck in a fire trap, they will go through a whole 10 cans of it before they jump out of it, so you've got to be careful too. It's really annoying when a sim dances up and down in the middle of a fire trap and uses 10 full cans of shower in a can, because that's what they've got in their inventory. And then once they've used it all up, then they jump out of it and they're fine. But they're singed, or maybe, but the shower in a can should cure the singeing bit, provided they jump out in time. That looks like a gem, and I think there's a bit of gem dust there too that he can collect. Copper. Now we've got to work out how to show you going through that door. So he's come into another room. It's got a rubble pile and a treasure chest and a bench with a keystone on it. And that will be the keystone we need for that door up at the top, near the bottom of the steps that he came down to come when he entered the tomb. Some low quality dried food. Hopefully he won't need that. Now he's got to pick up the key. The Copper Quarry keystone. If he goes back up top now, he can use that in the spot that he has to put the keystone in and get into another part of the tomb. This is where he will find the sigil for the Copper Quarry, the part of the tomb collection that is in this tomb. But it's very well hidden. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of people who've completed this tomb numerous times and haven't found it yet. So if you're wondering where it is, you're going to find it at the end of this video. Because it's the last thing you come to. It's not because I wanted to leave it till the end. It's just that they don't get to it until the end. And Sam doesn't have what it takes axe to get it, he's got to call Muriel in. So now he's completed this tomb. That counts. If you've got a sim with one of the lifetime wishes that they've got to complete a certain number of tombs in each location, they can complete it by coming into this room for this particular tomb. Even though Sam has already finished the tomb, I can now bring the other 7 sims down here, and each one of them will get credited with completing the tomb. And when Muriel finally comes in, you might hear the music for her completing it as well. I'm not sure if I've cut that out or not. This is just finding treasure now. There's another door there that it can go through, and it's not even needing to be uncovered.
Good.
Another piece of copper. You never know what's going to spawn when they come back to Egypt next time. It could be copper. Often it's just a lot of ancient coins. But at least you don't have to clear all these rubble piles again. But it is a good idea to leave rubble pile, at least one rubble pile somewhere in the world, because sometimes I get an adventure to take a photo of a rubble pile, and if you've cleared every rubble pile in the world, then you can't complete that adventure. So now what's he going to do? He's going to go through that door. I notice as they're walking along, they're squelching like they're walking in water all the time. Now all he can do with that boulder is inspect it. But if you watch the last episode, you'll remember that Muriel has now got Pangu's axe in her inventory. And since Muriel is required to actually retrieve the final item, which is the sigil of the Copper Quarry, I've decided to leave Pangu's axe with Muriel, and I've called her in to help Sam. So she can clear the boulder, and then she'll stick with him right to the end, because she is the only one I've got in this group of 8 sims who can actually get it without cheating. You can do it if you cheat, but you don't have to cheat if you've got a sim who has done what Muriel has done and is able to do. So now they can go through to the next part of the tomb. This is just a long hallway. It's a windy hallway, nothing much to do. Just walk through it till you get to the end. Another rubble pile there for him to clear. I'll get Sam to do all the hard work with rubble piles. Although I suppose I could have got Muriel to do it, couldn't I? Because she's got Pangu's axe, she could have just whacked it and it would have been cleared. Not to worry, took me a long time to think of that. This makes much more sense when you don't have constant interruptions. You know, if you're playing the game yourself, you'd keep track of it. But if I was going, oh, now Sam's doing the Copper Quarry, oh, now let's go back to Muriel doing the traps, you'd lose track of both tombs. So that looks like a geode now, yeah. So, this looks like the end of it, doesn't it? There's nothing obvious. And I know there's more to this tomb, but it seems to be a complete dead end. And I'm sure a lot of people have got to this point. But there is a hidden door, and I'm sure a lot of people have found it as well. But some of you mightn't have. If you've noticed, I haven't been looking for hidden doors because I don't think there are any others in this tomb. And I just wanted to get him through by clearing all of those rubble piles. He's got to push that open. I made sure Muriel had had a good sleep before I brought her here, so she's well refreshed, and she's going to need to be refreshed for what she's going to have to do shortly. Is that a big enough hint? Don't you want to give them a hand? You know, just give it in there and just push. Wish you could get two Sims to push those doors sometimes. Okay, there's another boulder, which Sam can only inspect because he doesn't have the axe. So Muriel can smash that one, and I thought this time I'll watch the smashing from the other side of the boulder, because you can this time. Mostly the boulders are up against a wall or something, but this boulder isn't. And as you can see, between the Sims and where they need to get next, there is a huge open space. And I don't know if I've showed or not, but if you look down underneath that, you'll see there's huge fires burning. So there is no way across. I should have looked down into it to show you that there's fires down there. Like, I think there's just big fire traps that are just constantly burning. So now Muriel is going to meditate because we know she's been to the Scholar's Garden. That was the adventure she had to do in China. Now, I thought she was a level 10 in martial arts, but she's actually only a level 5. But you only need to be a level 5 to be able to meditate. So no wonder the mummy defeated her last episode. Once they get to level 10, the mummies have got no hope. Which is why if you get a opportunity or an adventure which requires you to be cursed by a mummy, it's not good if all of your Sims are level 10 in martial arts, because you can't get cursed by the mummy, because the mummies die before you get a chance. I mean, I've never seen it happen. The mummies just get wiped out so fast when I get a level 10. So there she is, she's ready to Zen port. Come across here, a little pause there. She came. Now let's go and empty all of those various treasure chests. She needs a keystone. I think Sam might have one of them if she doesn't. Okay. Let's see if there's a keystone in the treasure chest. I don't think there is. So that is how you get across, and why I needed Muriel, because none of my other Sims have got that martial arts skill that she's got. None of them other ones can do a Zen port. You can get across by cheating and doing a teleport with testing cheats enabled true and shift clicking the ground. Past there's the sigil. That's a part of the tomb collection. You also need the star keystone, and they're hard to come by in China, but there are in Egypt. But there are places you can get them if you don't have one already. The relic shop is one, and some of the tombs give you extras. So you might get to this point and need to go and complete some other adventures and find the star, a spare star keystone, and then come back here to get that sigil out of that box. I find the Tomb of the Desert Ocean is a good one for spare star keystones. You can use them all up if you just want to use them, but you can get past a lot of the traps without using them. So well, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I haven't looked ahead to see what the next one's about, so hopefully you'll come back and watch it as well. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.